Okay, so I'm using our internal canvas, but it should look very similar to yours. So when you start out, you should have your install. It depends on how you set it up. It'll either be here, it'll say RP now, faculty exam registration, something like that, or it could be put under modules. Sometimes administrators will put it there, but it'll be in one of two places. If you can't find it, I would speak to whoever set it up, your administrator. They would be able to tell you where it is. So you'll open it up, and it'll show you any exams that you have registered there on the first page. If it has a star next to it, that means it's in progress. If it has a green lock, that means it's a proctored exam. Practice exams have a blue lock. And you can also make any changes that you need to make to existing exams on this page. So you can click edit here, and you can edit these settings. To register a new exam, you'll click either this register new exam button here, or there's a register exam button here. And it's going to ask if you want to register a native exam or a third-party exam. The difference is native exams are exams that will take place in Canvas. Third-party exams are if you wanted to give an exam in any other website other than Canvas. So say you wanted to give like a Pearson My Math Lab is pretty common, WebAssign, anything like that. You can register it here, but it will take place in the other LMS. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. For right now, I'm going to do a native exam. So it's going to ask you if you want it to be proctored or practiced. Practice exams are free. They mimic the process of the proctored exams, but they're recorded, but we don't review them. So basically, they're just set up to try to get the students acclimated to the software before they have to go take their real exams. We've found that it makes them more comfortable, that they already have gone through and they already know what they're doing, so they're not like stressing out when they're taking the real exam. So we definitely recommend practice exams. The proctored exams are your midterms, your finals, anything else that you want us to be reviewing. So I'm going to click proctored. So any exams that you already have set up should show up here when you click this button. The caveat to that is they have to have a start and end date. They have to have a password set, and Canvas calls it an access code. And they have to be published. If they don't have those three things, they won't show up here. So you would click the exam that you want to register. With the password, don't give that password to students. That password is what ensures that students are actually being proctored using our software. So what they'll do is they'll go through the software and they'll be prompted to enter the password. There's a button in our software that they click to enter it, and it enters it, but they can't see what it is. And that's how we ensure that they're being proctored, because they can't get it into the exam without clicking the button to get the password. And I can show you that later. It's a little bit.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first, we set up the quizzes in Canvas. And in Canvas, that's where we have to have a start date, a password, and it must be published first. Is that correct?
Correct. So let me show you that here. So you'll set the quiz up here. So that training exam quiz. Sorry, we have a lot of exams in here.
I think one of our issues the last time, help me if I'm wrong, Karen and Alicia, is when we set up all these quizzes, you have to publish it.
Mm-hmm.
The students would get all these notifications about the quizzes are published and all of that. There's not a way to avoid that?
I'm not sure about that. You would have to talk to your Canvas administrator about that. That's something in the settings in Canvas themselves that I'm honestly just not sure about.
Okay.
Yeah, but she wants to not notify. There's a way to hide it. You can't hide it and have it published at the same time, I think. Well, she said nothing.
Jennifer, will you show me in Canvas where you're at, where we enter in a password or access code?
Absolutely. So you would name the quiz here. There's a button here that says require an access code.
Okay.
You would click that and you can enter whatever password you want to enter. The last one I entered, as you can see, is burgers. And then you do your start and dates here, and then you click save publish and it'll publish it. It doesn't even have to have questions yet for you to go ahead and register it. It just needs to be created, it needs to have start and end dates, and needs to have a password.
The time.
So then once it's created, then you would go in here and you would open our app to register it. Does that make sense? Do you have any other questions about that?
I'm okay for now.
Okay. So we're going to go back in here, and we're doing our proctored exam. So I have one here called training quiz. So the exam duration, this is how long we're recording the students. So if you say it's 60 minutes and they're in it for 80 minutes, we don't kick them out at that 60-minute mark. We ask them if they need more time, and if they do, then the timer resets and just gives them additional time. This is more for kind of trying to keep students from accidentally leaving the software going and not closing it out, so we don't get these like 3-hour recordings of an exam that's like 60 minutes long. We recommend adding 5 minutes for the interview process. That's just where the students go in and they show their ID and they kind of scan their area, and then they do like a selfie photo so that we can identify the right person taking the exam. We recommend just giving them a little extra time for that, but if they go past the 65-minute time, we don't take them out. It's just so we kind of have an idea how long the exam is and to try to cut down on people accidentally leaving the software open.
So if we say that the exam duration, if the exam should last 60 minutes, how do we know?
Whatever you want.
Right.
I'm using 60 minutes as an example.
In a normal time frame, if I'm sitting in a face-to-face class and I give students 60 minutes to take an exam, at that 60-minute mark, I'm taking that exam up. So if you give them more time and they continue to answer the question, how do we differentiate that?
So this is just how long we're recording them. Canvas will decide how long they can be in the exam. So our software is separate from whatever they're allowed to do in Canvas.
Okay, so for the exam duration, we need to set, let's say, for example, I think this is where we had the big issues last time, was that our times with Canvas and our times with Remote Proctor Now conflicted, and I think we had some huge issues related to that. So let's say that we're administering an exam from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., okay? And we're going to set up Canvas to open that exam at 8:45 a.m. and close that exam at 10:15 a.m. But we're only going to allow 60 minutes for them to take the exam. So then do we put in on exam duration there, do we put in 65 minutes?
I would, yeah.
Okay, I think that's where we messed up last time. I think that's where we had some huge issues.
Okay. However, when they go into it on Canvas, they immediately see the question. So essentially, the exam starts at that time.
Yeah, but I mean.
And I understand they have to have this time, but if we're doing 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after, we're giving them an hour and a half.
Not if you set the timer in Canvas for 60 minutes.
So if you're worried about it, you can go ahead and set this for 90 minutes, and that's completely fine.
Okay, we'll work on this.
It's independent of what's in Canvas.
Minutes for the question, they only get.
But they're doing it on a Word document and loading it in.
If they don't submit it before that 60 minutes, they can't submit it.
Well, we'll figure this out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say if you're worried about that bit, so if you're keeping it open for an hour and a half, you can go ahead and just put 90 minutes in here, and that should solve all of that. Canvas will only let them take the exam for 60 minutes, even if we have them in there for 90. It's completely independent, so it's really Canvas decides how long they can be in the exam.
If they don't drop it in that Dropbox within that time frame, they can't.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if they start seeing that exam at 8:45, it may only take them 2 or 3 minutes to do their check-in.
Mm-hmm.
And we turn the exam off at 10 a.m. They've had, but we really don't turn the exam off till 10:15 a.m.
That's right, we don't turn it off. But if they start seeing the exam at 8:45, if they see the question at 8:45, remember, they don't see the question when they do it through the
that's what I'm at,
They
okay.
don't see the question until they do their check-in.
Okay, so they don't see the question until after they do the check-in with you, is that correct?
I'm sorry, are you asking me?
Yes.
They wouldn't see the questions until the exam starts. So what they'll do is they'll load up our software, they go through the interview process, and I'll show you guys this after.
Okay.
They'll be taken back into Canvas, and then they'll find their quiz here in the quizzes section and open it up there. And it'll start at whatever time you set for Canvas to allow them to do
Yeah.
that. That's when
I understand now.
And then Canvas only gives them 60 minutes.
Right,
So
okay.
they don't get
So
that.
I thought as soon as they clicked into it, they were able to see the question.
No.
That was different.
No, they
Okay.
have to go through this process.
Okay, I understand.
So then,
It's that timing thing that makes me.
Uh-huh.
so do you have any other questions on the exam duration before I move on to the number of students?
I don't.
I'm good.
Okay. So number of students, this is approximate. So if you put 25 here and 30 go and take the exam, we don't cut anyone off. This is mostly for our ops team for resource planning. So we can try to get an idea of how many reviewers we're going to need ahead of time. The exams are not live proctored. No one's sitting and watching the students. The exams are recorded and then they're sent to our proctors.
How long does it take for us to get the results back?
I'd have to look at your contract, but for most, it's 5 business days.
Okay.
It usually takes less time than that, but it's 5 business days is how long we usually have. From the day that the student finishes the exam.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So that number is approximate. The exam room profile, those are the rules for the exam. And I'm going to show you how we can set them in a second, but you would choose one of these profiles here. By default, we do closed book. That means it's literally just the student and their computer. They can't have notes. They can't have anything like that. But you can set different rules for the exams based on what you want. And these rules are these are for our review team. So I'm going to click submit here, and then I'm going to show you that profile bit so it makes more sense. And then you see that I have this exam here, and if I wanted to edit it, I can go here, make any changes that need to happen. So that exam rule profile, if you wanted to create a new profile, we suggest naming it based on the rules of that you're trying to put into the exam. So if it was a math profile, you name it here. It's anything that you would know what it is and what should be on it. So here you can click any processes that you would want to be allowed. So word processors, that's going to be like your Microsoft Word, Notepad, things like that. Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, websites. You could let them use all websites. You could put a specific website. You would want to put that here so our review team knows what it is. That way, if they see them going to a different website, they can flag for it. If you want them to be able to use notes, pen and paper, calculator, under textbook, there's different options. There's hard copy, electronic. Under electronic, you can choose desktop or tablet. Others allowed in the room. Permitted absence, that's usually for longer exams. If you wanted to give them like a bathroom break, something like that, you could put how many minutes you want them to be allowed. And then special instructions is anything else that's not up here that you want our review team to know. So for example, if you wanted them to be able to use one sheet of paper, front and back, and they have to rip it up at the end of the exam, you would put that here. Again, the students won't see these rules. You're going to have to give them the rules, but this is for our review team. So you want to be as specific as possible because this is what we're going to be using to flag the exams. Is there any questions on this part, on the exam rules?
I think that's what messed us up the last time, is that we had set the rules where we either would or wouldn't allow a Word document.
Mm-hmm.
And then we changed it, and I think some of the quizzes got updated with the new rule and some didn't. And I don't think it was realized until they were actually in the quiz. And like, for example, maybe we told them to upload a Word document, and when we set up that quiz in particular, it wasn't allowed. And I think that's one of the other reasons why we got into trouble. Do y'all remember that, Karen and Alicia? Am I remembering that correctly?
Canvas. I think it was in Canvas that we had some issues with that. I think you're right. I think we changed it, but I think some of them got changed in Canvas and some of them did not. I think that's what happened. I don't necessarily think it was a remote Proctor Now thing.
Okay.
So I feel like I want to note too, back on this Manage Registered Exams page, I had mentioned that if you wanted to make any edits, so say you decided to change the rules of the exam, you would have to come back in here and you would have to put the new profile there and update it. But also, if you decide to change, say, the password for the exam or the dates of the exam, you would do that here under quizzes in the actual quiz, but you'd also have to come back into the RP Now app, and you can either click the Sync All button, and it'll just sync all of your exams, or if you wanted to just do one exam, you could do that, and that's going to make sure that it gets the most updated dates and password. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I just wanted to mention that because you mentioned some issues with things not being synced last time, so I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
So let me just reiterate. So after you set up your quiz in Canvas, you register it in RP Now.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to Canvas and change anything, you need to come back to RP Now and sync it.
Correct.
So
Okay.
I think that's where we got into trouble last time. I don't think we made the changes in both places.
I think like RP Now or something was either expecting a Word document or not. And then Canvas was either expecting a Word document or not, but they weren't the same rules. So,
Right.
so I think, I can't remember which was the wrong setting, but they were two different rules, and that's why students couldn't submit anything.
Right.
So,
I'm wondering if, in this case, a practice exam would be a good idea ahead of time, so then we can kind of set it up and take a look at it and make sure it's working how you want it to work before students go and take
Jennifer,
the exam.
we did that last time, and I'll be real honest with you. Last time was the first time we used the product, and the biggest problem we had that I think all of it could have been solved very quickly was the fact that we had no customer support. We could not get a single soul on the telephone for a long time.
And our students would try to call into support and could not get anyone on the telephone.
They were having at least 20-minute waits.
Huh.
That was the biggest problem. I mean, we know we had some issues that we didn't have all of the I's dotted and T's crossed, and all it would have taken would have been for someone to look in here and say, hey, you didn't change this right here, let's fix it. And it would have been taken care of, but we couldn't get a hold of anybody. That was our problem.
So I'll have to look into that. I wasn't,
You don't have to.
I'm not aware of what happened last time.
I'll pay up the food chain. But that's the big thing we want to know is who's going to be available to us. And I would like to make contact with them that morning before we start giving exams.
Okay, I can find out that for you.
Phone call, not by email. I want someone who's going to talk to me.
Okay, let me talk to my team and then I'll get back to you on that piece.
Thank you.
No problem. So now I'm going to move on to, oh, I told you I'd go through third-party exams and I didn't yet.
I don't think we need to go through that. Do we need to go through third?
Do you guys give any exams outside of Canvas?
No, we don't need to do that.
I don't think we need third-party exams.
Okay, I'll just mention it briefly then. There's just some fields that you have to fill in that you don't have to fill in for the Canvas exams. It's the password and the dates. It's just because in a third-party system, we can't pull the information, obviously, like we could if it was in Canvas. So that's really the only difference.
Okay.
So now I'd like to go through the reports. So you have, after the exams are done, and I don't know if you guys already remember this, the exam reports go back into the app.
Okay.
So you have the option to view by exam, view by student, and view all unread. Unread is basically any review you haven't already opened. So I'm going to go into this by view by student. So under here, it's going to show you suspicious first by default. But you have the option of filtering by clean, suspicious, or rules violation, or just showing all. So the difference between these, clean, it means the student went in, they took their exam, we didn't see any issues, and it was fine. Rules violation, they broke a rule, but they didn't necessarily cheat. It's like if they were talking to somebody about what they're going to have for dinner in the background, or they were playing music, or they were watching TV. They shouldn't have been doing it, but it's not necessarily cheating. We flag it as rules violation, and the student is notified as basically as behavior modification. We found if we tell students, you shouldn't be doing this, then the next time that they go in to take an exam, they're more apt to just do what they're supposed to be doing and just be focusing on the exam. So that's what rules violation is. Suspicious, that's the one you're going to really care about. We saw them doing something that could be construed as cheating, like looking up answers on their cell phone or going to websites and trying to look that up, talking to somebody to try to get the answer, something like that. When we get a suspicious record, we do not notify students. The notification goes only to your organization, and then you guys get to decide what to do with it from there. So I'm going to go into an exam report. So this is myself being suspicious. This will list all the violations that we found on the main page and the rules for the exam. And if you click here, you can view the video. Going a little slow. I don't know if my internet's the best in this office. So these are actually synced. So if you move this anywhere here and start playing it, it's going to go to the same part in the desktop. The comments are these little flags here. Or right here, those are being used. So right on our website, ThirdParty, and you can get to those specifically in the video by either clicking the little flag here, and it'll take you right to the video, or clicking the little flags here. So here you can see me using the telephone. Is there any questions about the reports or how to view the reports?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then, did you want to see the student process?
I feel comfortable with the student process.
I think our issue was the timing and the customer support. I mean, I think
Yeah.
those were our issues, and the Word document. But the Word document thing, I know exactly what happened there. Some of it got changed in Canvas. Some of the questions got changed in Canvas. Some of the questions did not, because we changed our process, and we just didn't get everything
Right.
changed the way it needs to be.
Okay. So then I have a couple of questions for you. So I was wondering, I was trying to figure out, when are you planning on having exams?
July 2nd.
July 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you know how many students are going to be taking the exams?
A total of
21, right?
19.
19? Okay. So 19 students on July 2nd.
Won't we have 21?
19.
Okay.
All right. And then are you doing any other exams, or is that the big one that you're worried
Now
about?
that's all that we have planned.
But now, all questions, there's multiple exams. It's not just one exam, because we have
Okay.
all the questions set up as a different exam.
So you have multiple exams. Are they all on July 2nd?
Yes.
Yeah. Students will take anywhere from 1 to 6 exams.
And there will be 21 students.
No, 19.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what was happening, so that one, I'm going to inform ops, and two, I'm going to get an answer to your questions on support. Okay, so I'm going to get back with my team on that piece. Did you have any more questions on this training at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead, get an answer for you on your questions about support, and then I'm going to also put together this recording for you, and I'll send it over. I'm hoping I'll have it for you later today. If not, it'll be early tomorrow.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.